After I put out my Break 80 video, there was a good response. I had a couple of messages from guys asking if it was possible that I could show each shot and talk through me hitting that shot. That's fine, I've got no problem in doing that. Difficulty being is when I'm recording a full round, I've got guys up my arse like I do tonight, and it just makes filming a wee bit difficult. I don't want to hold MD up. Plus the length of the video can get huge, and I've not got time to edit all that stuff. So we're going to do it in a separate video tonight. I'm going to go through a couple of holes tonight. We've got the 12th here at Langlands, the 13th, which is a par 3. We've got a par 4 coming back down, maybe a par 4 going up. We'll see how the light goes. And we're going to talk through every shot and the reasons why I'm hitting those shots. First thing we're going to have to look at is get yourself one of these. If you've got a GPS tracker, you've got something like that, great. But ideally something with a screen when you can actually move about where the GPS is going to go. So I'm going to show on the screen a screen recording of my 18 Birdies app, and I'm going to show you kind of what I'm talking about as I go along. Sorry, I forgot to say, if you don't know, I'm Andy Plays Golf. I don't know if I forgot to do it, but if I did, then I'll put it in. This is the 12th hole at Langlands. This is a fairly moderate par 5. 503 yards, as you can see on the screen with 18 Birdies, so I'll move it about so you can see. So I'm currently screen recording, so everything I'll do on the screen will show up on my screen if I can edit it right. So the first thing we're going to look at is instantly you think you're going to need to pull your driver, right? It just depends. If you can hit a driver, let's say 200 yards, go for your driver. The first thing you're going to look at is where does 200 yards take you? So 200 yards roughly in the middle of that fairway is going to be about here, which is roughly where the white marker is in the middle of the fairway. That's ideal. That's going to leave you about 215 into the green. That is reachable in 2. If you then hit bigger, you go and hit bigger. Bearing in mind this is a par 5, so you've kind of got to weigh up the risk and reward. If you're a massive slicer of your driver, maybe take out a 3-wood, maybe take out an iron. So have a look first of all for any trouble. There's a burn sitting there at 100 yards. The first thing you're going to have to do is carry 100 yards. That's fairly basic. So for me, I'm hitting my driver okay. I'm just going to leather it up that fairway. Have a wee look and see how wide the fairway is as well. Where's your landing zone? This is where knowing your numbers is going to be massive for you guys. Alright, so I'm ready to go here. Wind's a wee bit in my face. That's the first thing I'm noticing. I'm noticing ground conditions as well. We'll talk about the fairway and we'll talk about what this is going to be like if you're, for instance, playing on the first hole. You might get caught out because you've not been able to test the green or the fairway yet. But there's a couple of things you can do while walking down. So I'm lining up my shot first of all. I'm not going to go through grip. I'm not going to talk about swing. You should be able to do that. Let's just presume that you're okay with doing that. So as I set up to this shot, I'm looking at my aim point, I'm looking at my landing zone, and I'm looking at an aim point. I'm picking something on the ground. You know, all you guys know how to aim a shot. But I'm taking note of what my miss is. My miss with this guy is right. I can go right, say 20, 30 yards. So I would probably want to favour an aim which is the left side of the fairway. But if you're sitting with a miss which is right and left, you probably want to favour bang in the middle and just see where it goes. I'm going to aim it just slightly left of target. I'm picking something on the ground that I'm going to match my club face up to, and I'm happy with that aim. So if I cut across this ball and it turns into a wee bit of a slice, I could be looking at the rough at the right hand side. If it goes poker straight, I'm still going to be on the fairway. Is it going to go left? Unlikely. So that's done exactly what I thought it might, which is a wee bit of a slice just off to the right. And we've caught the rough at the right hand side. So if I aim down the middle of the fairway, there's a strong chance I'm going to carry even over the rough and onto the next fairway. So that's the first thing, know what your miss is. Moving on to shot 2, we're only about 10-15 yards off the fairway. It's not a bad miss, still a miss. If I never aimed off the left side of the fairway, we're then adding on 20-30 yards, and over there's bushes, or the next fairway. So we could be in a lot of trouble. Go to the range and find out what your most common miss is. As I said, if you're playing a two-way miss, just go down the middle of the fairway and try and eliminate one of those misses, whether it's from your grip, which is going to eliminate your right hand side, or you're going to eliminate the rotation of the hands, which will stop you hooking the ball left. But look at those things and find out what a miss is. So I'm going to move you up and we'll have a look at the ball first of all for how it's lying. So the ball's lying not too bad, right? I can pretty much get a full club on that. Even though it's in the rough, it's okay. So just a wee tip here, if the cut of the rough is going towards the pin, there's a very high probability that you're going to get a flyer out it, and you don't need to club up if it's fairly short. If the rough's going away from the hole, meaning it's playing towards the tee, you probably have to club up because there's a high probability your club's going to get snagged up. So you need to be aware of that. Got 163 into the middle of the green. The pin's probably about middle right, and we've got 158. Slightly downhill, you'll see there that it's playing 163. It's not playing 163, it's probably playing about 150 yards. So my 150 yard club here is my 9-iron. We already know the condition. 9-iron's going to be fine because I'm going to get a good contact on it. So I've selected my club, and you can see with the camera angle what's happening. Ball above the feet. If you don't know how to play an uneven lie, ball above your feet means that you need to grip down. The ball's going to probably go from right to left looking like a draw. If it's below your feet, you need to think about coming down more on the shot, and the ball's going to go probably left to right. So I need to aim just a wee bit right of the flag here, and the wind is pretty minimal. Because it's in the rough, I'm going to think about chopping down on it a wee bit more. What I mean by that, it goes back in my stance about a ball, and I'm maybe a wee bit more shaftly, weighting on the foot. I keep my head and I think about squeezing the ball down. I don't want to lift the ball. I want the first interaction with the club hitting the ball, not the ground. So just like a normal shot, I've picked my aim, which is a wee bit right of target. So there's a turn, That could be quite good. So it was a wee bit right of target, but I did get a wee kick in. Contact in the face, it was all right. So I mentioned briefly about how to test the fairway, how to test the green, how to do these things. Walk on it, it's as simple as that. While you're walking down the first fairway, have a feel under your feet. How does it feel? There's going to be some brown patches, as you can see here. Brown patches are a good indicator that the ground is quite hard and it's quite firm. That's what you've got to look at. So if you're playing like in this hole here, quite sloped, landing it in the fairway, your ball's going to roll down. I've just seen my ball. It wasn't a bad shot. So landing it on a fairway that's this sloped, your ball's going to run down to that left-hand side. So you really need to be aware of that. So think about where you're landing your shot. Think about where you're aiming your shot. What's the point in aiming down the middle of this fairway, the left of the fairway, if it's just going to kick even more down? We've got a nice opportunity for eagle here. I think we should give this a wee bash. There's not an awful lot we can talk about when it comes to putting. Putting's going to be something you're pretty much going to have to try out yourself. If you want to see a video on putting, I'm more than happy to do one, just get in the comments. I'm not a particularly good putter. The only thing I can say about putting is if you're going to go for a hole that's got a break in it, try and miss above the hole. That's what they call the pro miss. Missing above the hole means if it's breaking left to right, you want to miss above the hole, not below the hole. And if it's breaking right to left, you want to miss on the right side of the cup, not the left, and that's above the hole. You've got more of a chance of the shot going in if you miss above the hole than you do under it. That's just for me anyway. So I won't go over my putting tips now. I'm just hoping to get this close for a dustbin lid. Likelihood of me getting this in, pretty slim. So I want to just get it in a wee mini circle around the hole and just know that I can tap in for my birdie. That's all I was looking for. So I've got low expectations of that shot, but I've got high expectations of this shot. So don't put too much pressure on a putt that's realistically not going to go in. So the first thing I'm going to look at is where the pin is. If you're not sure, play to the middle of the green. So the middle of the green on this is 151 yards. It's playing like 157, which is probably about right. But with the wind, we're going to play at about 150. Again, my 150 club is my 9-iron. Do I want my ball to land at that point because I can carry a 9-iron 150 yards? No. I want my ball roughly to land at the front of the green, which is 142. So you've got to think to yourself, 142 then turns into a pitching wedge. So if I want my ball to land at the front of the green and roll up to the pin, I'm maybe looking at a pitching wedge. But then a pitching wedge gets more spin than a 9-iron, and then the chances of the ball coming back off, plus I'll need to hit a pitching wedge full. Whereas a 9-iron, I can maybe ease it off a wee bit, meaning that the likelihood I'm going to get good contact and a much better shot, I just might hit it a bit far. So for me, it's going to be a 9-iron. So we've got a 9-iron in hand. The next question is, where do I tee up? First of all, just look at the tee. Mind you can go back, I believe it's 2 club lengths, which is your driver, so you can pretty much bring it back to about here if you want, which is another thing. I maybe want to bring it back to about here, which means that I could probably hit a fuller 9-iron, so use all this to your advantage. But let's just put it up near the front. I'm going to look for an area that's fairly clean, but it's also going to not get a lot of distractions. If you tee your ball down next to broken tees, next to patches of grass, your eye's going to focus on that when you're swinging away, and you don't want that. You want to just focus on the ball. So pick a bit of the ground that's fairly free, around about a football size, of any scratches out the ground or any divots, anything like that that you think could potentially throw your shot off. Pick your aim line out and just hit your shot. Don't think too much about where you want it to go. Don't flag hunt. So play your shot to where you've picked your landing zone. Let's just say I thinned the tips right off that, but you might get somewhere with a thin shot, you'll get nowhere with a fat shot. So just like the last hole, give yourself a fairly low expectation. This is out with gimme range, 100%. So you're going to need to put a good putt on this. This breaks left to right, so I'm going to be favouring the left side of the cup. I want to miss above the hole, I don't want to miss below it. I certainly don't want to underhit it. So on a birdie putt, always give yourself an opportunity to get to the hole. So I'm happy with that. So we've got a tap in par. So a lot of guys here would have been raging, they would have put the head down, they would have been cursing all over the place, shouting and screaming that they should have got the birdie. You probably wouldn't have, even if you're a pro, you probably wouldn't have got it in. So we're here at a gorgeous 14th hole tonight. The temperature's starting to go down, we need to factor that in. So I would probably take off 5 or 10 yards from each shot. The wind's coming a wee bit left to right, we need to play that in. But let's just play it as a normal shot. So this is where any GPS app is going to come into play. I'm going to do a full review of the 18 Birdies app, but if you're using one similar, this is ideally where you really need to use it. So straight off, this big burn that you see going across the screen, 248 yards. For me, I can sometimes land a driver there, so I need to be wary of that. Even if I do get it over, look at the size of the fairway, look at the width of that fairway, that's your landing zone. And in a night like this, it's starting to get a wee bit cooler, the ground's just a wee bit damp with dew, there's a likelihood is I'm not going to get a massive kick on here. So even if I do get one of my good drivers, which go about 270 carry, I'm probably not going to reach the green. So is there a benefit taking driver here? No, not today. If the wind was behind us and it was bone dry, I would be screaming one down there as best as I can, but not today. What is the best club? Well, question you've then got to ask yourself is, where do you perform your next shot best? At what number do you guys like hitting into the green? For me, a good solid 100 yards to 120 is where I'm comfortable. That's either a knockdown pitching wedge or a full gap wedge for me. One or the other, I can pretty much manipulate that shot. So I'm starting to look at a middle of the green, which is going to be 105 if I play a shot which is 210 yards. 210 for me is either a 6 or a 5 iron. That leaves a comfortable shot down there because I'm not needing to horse it, because I know I'm not going to reach anything. I'm certainly not going to reach the burn, so it's just an easy swing. And the chances are you're going to hit quite a good shot with that. And then I'm going to leave myself 105 into the green. If it goes a wee bit shorter, I can still pull out more clubs. If it goes a wee bit less, I just need to manipulate my shot. So I'm going to have a wee look at see where the flag is, and then we're going to see which side of the fairway we're going to go at. So from what I can see, the flag is about there on the screen. It's just tucked behind that bunker. One place I don't want to be is the left side of the fairway. This is going to be blocked out completely, especially if I'm trying to take a knockdown shot in here. So I want to favour the right side of the fairway at about 200 yards, because you can see that wee slot there, and that's hopefully where I want to land my ball. So now I've dropped back even more to about 200 yards. For me, that's a 6 iron. So we've said we're wanting to favour the right side of the fairway because the pin's on the left. So I certainly wouldn't be teeing up on the right side here. Just for me, if I'm over on the left side of a tee box, it opens up that side of the fairway, whereas if I'm over on this side, it's going to feel as if I'm opening up that side. I'm just going to simply play a shot down the fairway and hopefully we catch the right side of it. It's absolutely perfect. Let's get down there before the light dies. I'm just going to take my wee knockdown shot here. If you haven't seen the video, I'll put it on the screen now. I'm not going to go over exactly what I'm going to do with the shot, because if you watch a video, it pretty much goes through absolutely everything. One thing I will say is how I'm feeling here. The ball's just slightly below my feet, and all I'm going to do here is just put a wee bit more knee compression. That's it, just grip the same, just a wee bit more knee compression. As we know, the pin's just on the left hand side of the green. Is it worth going for? Definitely. There's absolutely no reason why I wouldn't go for that pin. If I've got a tendency of turning my hands over and sending it left, I'd be a wee bit wary here. To go for safety, the middle of the green's fine. And if you underhit it, you've got the fairway at the beginning of the green. So let's just hit a normal knockdown shot here and see if we can get this somewhere close. If I'm seeing that correctly, it is just left of the pin. That was a good strike. So we set ourselves up to allow a good shot to happen, and even if a bad shot happens, we've got everything in place to make sure that we're going to reduce how bad that's going to affect our card. Okay, this is what I call shit the bed time. Reason being, you think this putt should go in. You believe that you deserve this putt to go in, and you do. But let's be honest, you hit this shot 10 times, only about 2 or 3 of them's going to go in. So again, it's about expectations. We tip here, once you've lined your shot up and once you know the weight, hit the ball. That's it, just hit the ball. Don't overthink it, don't get too messed up, just hit the ball. So I'm happy with my weight, making sure my face is straight. And my birdie. Golf is not simple. 100% golf is not simple, but it can be a wee bit easier by using the right tools and playing the right shots. That last hole I played there, I could take a driver out, just like everybody else that's probably played this hole today, pulling out a driver, maybe losing one in the burn, maybe losing one in the right hand rough, taking it behind me. There's bunkers on this side of the green. I could have went in there even if it was a good shot. Eliminate the bad shots. For me, I'm crap out bunkers, we all know that. I'm also not very good out rough. I'm certainly not good out rough when I need to do these wee finesse shots into the green. So I don't want to be in there. I'm okay being in the rough 120 yards back, just not 30 yards for the green. So for me, a nice 6 iron, then a wedge into the green, perfect. I'm going to play that hole pretty much exactly the same until I come up here one day, the ground is solid, I've got the wind behind me, and I feel that I'm driving like a legend. That's the only time I'm going to go for it. So hopefully this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more of this. As I say, it's quite difficult for me to actually do these kind of talking through shots when I'm actually out in the course playing them, because it just takes a lot of time, and my round's probably going to be about 6-7 hours long. But for these kind of videos, I'm more than happy to go more in depth when I'm playing shots out rough, when I'm playing them in the fairway. Just get in the comments and let me know if you want to see more of that. As I say, I'm by no means a pro, but I've got time in my hands that I come out here and I practice 1,001 different shots to see what actually works. And if it helps you guys, it helps you. So there is going to be a review coming out of the 18 birdies. It has got a lot of stuff inside it which I think could be beneficial for you guys. I'm not sponsored by them whatsoever. I do pay for the app, so I think it could help you out. It's stuff that I use and I think it could be worthwhile. So it's getting pretty dark now. I think I need to go. So if you have liked this, make sure you're getting the likes. Leave a wee comment down below if you want to see more of this. We'll leave it there. Thanks very much. Take it easy. Behave yourselves.